Hi, everyone. I'm Aqsa Taylor, Chief Security Evangelist at Exaforce. We recently announced a 125 million Series B round. This is a big news because it makes us one of the most well-funded AI SOC companies in the industry. But the trust doesn't come just with product. It also comes from the architects and people behind the product. And that's why I'm sitting here today with Jakub Pavlik, who is our head of engineering and co-founder at Exaforce. Jakub, it's a pleasure to have you.
Hello, Faye. Thanks for having me, Aqsa. Excited to talk to you.
Jakub, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
I started as a network engineer, mostly working on network boxes, configuration and automation. When there was the private cloud era, I was working on OpenStack, building open source private clouds for large telco customers, global. And then I slowly got into Volterra, where we did edge computing and managing network proxies, right? And that naturally got me into the security where I am today.
Nice. How was the shift coming from a networking background to now security operations? But actually, if I see your profile, you did lead a lot of SRE reliability teams, dev teams, SecOps teams. How is that shift now that you're in the trenches of creating a platform that's directly addressing their needs?
I think the shift was natural because if you run the systems in the cloud and you are serious about them, you need to handle the security. And in my previous company, we were in the business of blocking large attacks. It started as a SRE operation. We were running 25, 30 data centers, protecting customers, but slowly it became more security business of detecting DDoS, blocking them, keeping platform alive. So it was natural shift for me.
And how has that experience you learned from all of those different companies helped what you bring to Exaforce?
I think I got the right mix because I went from DevOps to developer SRE world. And even with the learning how these DDoS and attacks works, I got to know how managed security works because we were practically managing doing managed services, and we see the amount of burden and alerts and how hard it is to operate it and scale it for the customers. So that kind of narrowed down where we are today in SOC business.
Nice, nice. Now let's talk about Exaforce. AI SOC is a niche category. And if you were to bet in 2026, you could have bet on so many other things. You could have bet on AI code scanners, or you could have bet on AI SaaS security, whatever. Why AI SOC?
I think now is the time. Now we got to the point where AI actually becoming like really powerful, and it moved from like ChatGPT stories for fairy tales for my kids when I go sleep to like something more robust. And I think it's an interesting problem because you need to connect so many sources, so many contexts, and it's unsolved problem so for so many years. So this year and upcoming year will be the key. And I think we will see a lot of traction, and hopefully buzzword will go away and it will become real deal.
Nice, nice, for sure. When you made this bet in Exaforce, there were probably a lot of considerations to make from engineering perspective. You have so many architectural decisions to make, engineering processes, disciplines. What was your foundation to build this company? What were the main fundamentals that you said, okay, these are the must-have principles that I want to further enhance?
I think the fundamental principle when we started was that we have to take it from the data. We don't want to do shallow integration in front of SIEM or in front of existing solution, but we want to really solve the problem and not just triage faster. 3 years ago, we sit down and we were studying mostly data analysis and how data flow in the system, how we can get them there. And we were not back then focusing much on any of these AI SOC because it didn't even exist. but more on how to solve problem of no detections. So nobody have to write detections because nobody has time to do it. And they cannot keep up with attackers who are coming every day with the new techniques. So rules and writing the rules is not scalable.
Let's expand on that a little bit more, because you mentioned every day we're seeing these news of attackers using AI. And most recently, we've been talking a lot, or the industry has been talking a lot about Cloud Mythos and Project Glasswing. What are your opinions of this, and how does this impact what happens in the SecOps world with all these projects progressing?
It's becoming very interesting how vulnerability management is changing, how all these models and anybody can very easily find and detect any vulnerability. So that shift is interesting, especially with open source. I saw a couple of projects closing down because they are worried that if the code is open, it's more vulnerable. So yeah, I think that one is interesting. You have to come up with full package of auto-producing and discovering new attacks and new techniques, and human cannot do it. So that's kind of what I mentioned. So I think that we will see more and more.
AI versus AI war.
Yeah. Who will be
Great.
faster?
Faster. Okay, that's one thing that Exaforce emphasizes on a lot. Real-time knowledge graphs. What does it mean in engineering to build something real-time? And how does that even make a change? Does it make a change? And why is it so important, especially in today's era?
I think the real time is, so first of all, it's very hard to build it. It's
Yeah.
it's not easy problem.
We don't want to give away too many secrets.
And getting fast enough all the context and getting it before actually things happening, I think it's the key. And that's on what we make a bet, to pre-compute and have all things ready before actually anything happens, and pre-compute it on all the data live as they are coming, including configuration and logs. Because if you look at traditional SIEMs, they only ingest the logs, but they don't tell you who is the persona, who is his manager, is he admin in any system, is he holding keys from the production system, or is it just a random office manager who has no access to any other system. And being able to pull up all these context and data together in, like you said, real time is the key.
And we've talked about features, but let's dive a little bit more into the engineering side. How did Exaforce stand up to be one of the most well-funded AI SOC companies when there is so much competition out there? Engineering-wise, what did you do differently to make us build that trust with our customers, prospects, investors? What is the fundamental difference?
Fundamental difference is that we started from the other side. If you look at today AI SOC solution, we come to you, we plug in between, and we triage it, and you don't have to do anything, which I don't believe in. I think it's not the right approach for the long term. Back then, 3 years ago, we started from actual data and semantic and knowledge graph and putting all the context together. And we were literally building more of like a data solution rather than tool between SOC and analyst who says 99% things false positive, 1% needs investigation, stuff like that, right? So I think that's the fundamental difference what we made here, that we don't want to be just yet another tool plugged in the 55 or 100 other tools people have to buy. And we want to solve entire problem, like end to end, right? I don't want customer to buy SIEM, SOAR, AI SOC, DLP, and all these things, and then they don't communicate with each other and nobody knows where to look.
Now let's talk about how the platform's built and how is it different from other AI SOC platforms out there?
So the difference is that we can do both approaches. So one is we can go from the data and completely take role of SIEM, SOAR, an AI SOC up to the analyst and solve the full problem which customer has, including making rules, not making rules. Or we can be traditional AI SOC, which sits in between your SIEM and triage alerts for you. And that's, I think, it's the biggest difference, because customer can decide based on his needs and what fits more to him. And he can even do it slowly, right? He can test the AI SOC capability, then he can switch some of the sources going through us completely and get much better outputs and high fidelity.
Now, I have $100 million question, which is, can you replace a SIEM? I think this is a question that everybody has so much enthusiasm about, but there's also a lot of hype, like SIEM is dead, SIEM is reborn, SIEM is next gen. What are your thoughts with Exaforce?
It's not the question about replacing the SIEM, but it's more the question about like solving all problems customer has, and it depends on particular use case. But I think important is to solve the detection, triage, investigation, and the response. And in many cases, yes, we can absolutely replace the SIEM. But in some use cases, we can also play the role of the integration between the SIEM and analysts.
Nice. Okay, Jakub, coming to a conclusion, we raised so much money. What does this mean for engineering in terms of the future roadmap with all this funding that we receive now?
I think engineering now has no excuse. We have to deliver. With this amount of money, I think we have to deliver. And I think we can scale our initial idea to all the sources and start filling all the gaps we had, because this is big validation for us, because it's not easy to raise this amount of the money. This validation clarifies that whatever we make a bet makes sense, and we just need to now roll it out.
Let's talk about the roadmap. I know you can't speak too much to it, but we do have something in the makes called Exaforce Studio. Can you give us a little bit of a teaser of what that is and how it's going to change SecOps?
What it will really allow you is to define the things you want to see. Because as of today, every product gives you predefined view on what you can get. And with this, CISO can ask any question, any report, any idea, and he can dynamically build any page, any dashboard, and investigate anything he wants in a matter of seconds, and he can get it automatically. So I think it's a big, powerful shift from going the statical query builder interface where you running SQL queries or Splunk queries to natural language defining your own interface on top of all your security data. So I think it's very powerful.
And watching it update in live as you give new questions. That's the most, I think for me, I see that as such an important capability, because even if you have an LLM where you are asking questions about the data, but then you have another question and then you want previous answer, you have to scroll all the way back up to try to understand what was my previous answer versus this answer. But to see it in live and change automatically depending on what you want to do, I see that as a combination of Cloud Code, Cloud Design, and Cloud LLM all in one platform, but for SecOps. That's going to be a game changer. So stay tuned for our newest feature that's going to drop soon. Now, last question for you, maybe last two questions, Jakub. What is one promise that you are willing to make to our viewers about what you see Exaforce heading towards? And what is your one personal promise as we raise this money?
Okay, so my promise is there is no point in triage faster. The goal is no triage. We should solve it, and there is nothing like autonomous SOC. It should be all automated, and we have to deliver it.
Pretty straightforward, very powerful. Stay tuned to see if he keeps his promise. You will have to follow us on exaforce.com website or our LinkedIn channel. Next, last question. What is one message you want to give our competitors in the AI SOC space, or people who think they compete with us?
Watch your back. We are coming.
We're already here. Great. Thank you so much, Jakub. This was such a fun conversation.
Thank you, Aqsa.
And for those who are watching, Follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and also go check out our new website, Refresh, at exaforce.com. We're going to release some major product launches, and you do not want to miss this. It's going to be a game changer for SecOps. So if you're a CISO, SOC analyst, detection engineer, threat hunter, you definitely need to be in the loop. And if anything, join our Substack community, the Force Multiplier. This is where we're bringing peer-to-peer opportunities and podcast opportunities to practitioners from practitioners. Thank you again, and stay tuned for more.